The greatest of Nurgle's children is the great unclean one, but with great power comes a great cost, and we're going to teach you guys how to save some money by magnetizing the great unclean one kit.
Anvil of War Conversion Corner.
What's up, Plague Children? We are here today to kind of show you how we can get the best value out of our great unclean one kit. And because he's not cheap, he's $170 to buy in Canada, and I kind of wanted to save some money and not have to buy 3 of these and still be able to use Rotigus and then bring him back to being a great unclean one when I play on the tabletop. So what I did was I magnetized him, and we have all of our different weapon options can come up, and even head options if you want to just go for like aesthetics. To make him a little bit better value and still look good on the tabletop. What I did to make this kit bash, if you'll call it, work, is you got to get yourself some magnets. Now, I went on eBay and got some 10mm by I think 5mm magnets for pretty cheap, and you can get them in bulk, but you can also go down to your local gaming store, and a lot of places now will stock magnets for miniature modeling. Now, the Great Unclean One kit came with 3 different heads. Obviously, if you wanted to play with Rotigus, you had to use Rotigus's head. You don't have to, I guess, but you have Rotigus's head. And then the Great Unclean One came with 2 different heads for aesthetic, and you kind of got the classic crown horns of this one and kind of a new, well, he's kind of old school too. He's got like the tongue, which was originally included on the little baby Great Unclean One now compared to this guy. Because this guy is a giant hunk of plastic, and his options are all on the arms. So the outstretched hand up top was super easy to magnetize because each of the hand options you could just put the magnet inside with a little bit of glue, and I went down and got some green stuff just to kind of parge the gaps and fill it in and make it flat. So this is your Great Unclean One with just like the Great Bile Sword and his chain flail. But there's a lot of different options now with the Great Unclean One kit because they brought in a bunch of new weapons in both Age of Sigmar and 40k to give your Great Unclean One some options. So like I said, the hand options were super easy to magnetize because it was simple as putting one magnet on, and it worked nicely. Now with the heads, it was a little different because the heads were irregular shapes, and the way that the neck kind of fit to the body was very different. You can see here I've just like added black because I didn't want you to like look through the cracks and see like a shiny magnet or like the green stuff. When it's on, it's kind of just looks like it's a dark shadow behind there, so you kind of lose focus on what might be gaps or seeing behind the model and seeing kind of the components that I used. But for this as well, a lot of the time what I did was I just glued the magnet down and added green stuff to kind of hold the magnet in place, because I didn't really want green stuff to be the only thing holding the magnet in place, as on those hot summer days when you might leave your models in the car, for instance. I've had in the past green stuff kind of heat up and kind of get loose with some of my magnets in the past. So I like to use glue on the base layer, holding it right against the plastic, and then using the green stuff to kind of secure it in place. That's really it. The arms were super tough because a lot of the arm pieces had like this chasm, so I had to like fill it with green stuff first and then put a magnet in, add some glue, and then parge the rest with the green stuff. But so one tip that I would recommend when you're working with green stuff on a model like this is getting a little bowl of water beside you and keeping your hands wet and the green stuff wet, because it gets very sticky, especially when it's starting to fuse together. And at first I wasn't using it, and it was like sticking to my fingertips, it was sticking to the magnets, it was sticking all over the place, and I had to do a lot of cleanup to try to get all of the green stuff off the parts that I didn't want green stuff on. So as a pro tip to you guys, I would recommend using some water with your green stuff just to kind of make it not only have a better fit, but be more pleasurable to work with. There were some weird parts, like Rotigus has his outstretched hand, and there's some tentacles that are like bursting from his skull wound on his right arm, and they kind of line up a little weird, but you kind of just have to play with it for the magnet. Like it's just not going to fit properly because I think you're supposed to like click it into place when you glue it. But we're not committing to any one loadout this way, and it's a little bit nicer, I think, because we can, you know, play with the different options and play with the different Great Unclean ones on the tabletop, and it just gives a lot of variety in terms of what you want to play and what list you want to play with, and obviously getting a lot more value out of a kit that's quite expensive in the Games Workshop realm. So that's it for this week's video, guys, on the Great Unclean one. I hope this helps you guys get the best value out of this expensive kit that you can, because it's actually a beautiful kit. It's a lot of fun to paint, it's a lot of fun to work with, it's a lot of fun to play on the tabletop. So we'll see you guys next time.
Sponsored by
Thank you for watching all my nerdlings. If you guys like these kind of conversion videos, myself and the other guys on the team make lots of videos like this, so hit subscribe down below and check out our other Conversion Corner videos. We'll see you next time. Out of focus, Rotigus.
Yeah.
Boom, that was it.